Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 364. I was white and I kicked off with d4 and my opponent played g6. And we get into a modern defense here. Of course, at any time we could transpose into a King's Indian defense. They're kind of closely related, but black is avoiding playing this move, knight to f6. And so without that, this is more the modern defense. Let's see. Oh, it's his turn. He played d6, e4. Still, we could transpose into a King's Indian. But now he plays the move e6. Actually, you see the top choice here is knight f6, which would transpose. And there's other ways to play this. e5, knight c6, knight d7 even. It would stay in the modern lines, I guess. Okay, my opponent goes e6. And we're pretty much out of the book. Let's just look at the notation tab. You see the chess engine likes white setup here. You just have a lot more space. But you shouldn't be misled by this optimistic reading here by the chess engine. Black's position is very solid, and it's going to take some maneuvering to break through. Knight to e7. Boy, I'm typing the wrong, hitting the wrong squares there. Okay, c6. So now he sets up a complete blockade on the third rank here, so it's difficult. I can't put any pieces on these squares, but I can push pawns forward, and the real challenge in this position is trying to figure out which way to break with the pawns. It's interesting, the chess engine says I should just continue to wait a little bit, develop the bishop, the queen, maybe castle, moves like that. But this also keeps an advantage, d5. And he played bishop takes c3 first. Looks like if he were to play e takes d5, c takes d5, just kind of something like this is sort of what I was expecting. And it still keeps some advantage for white. I have this, not there, taking and taking. I have this pawn here, which is isolated, but this is an isolated pawn too, so there's that sort of cancel each other out. And it's much more advanced, my pawn is, than his. So it's fairly easy to defend. There's no attacking it from the front. So both pawns are pretty solid there. It's just that I have more influence near his king and near his side of the board. So it should be a slightly better position for white. So I think the maybe the chess engine is underrating that position. Okay, but my opponent went with bishop takes c3 here, getting rid of my knight, which defends the center, but giving up this important defender of his king side here. So I really question that move, giving up the bishop. But he has some ideas. He comes out with the queen. And right here is very interesting. I even thought about taking, and I just wasn't seeing it. But the engine thinks that taking is by far the preferred move. And with an evaluation like that, you think it's winning material. But you're not winning material right away. Takes... and he takes back, say he takes with the bishop. That's what I was expecting. And, I imagined this position in my mind, and I saw all these weak pawns here, doubled and isolated, and I said, oh, this pawn structure is a ruin. Is this really good? Well, it turns out these ruined pawns also create lots of open lines, so it's kind of an instructive moment, I think. So queen can come in here to d4, hitting his rook, and the rook goes to g8. He could castle here, actually, but maybe it's a little bit dangerous. Let's back up. He's castling. Castling is a move, but after bishop h6, looks like he might get into some trouble. So rook f8 or rook g8. Let's try rook g8. And then just rook b1 or castling. But rook b1 is interesting because it attacks this pawn here, and it's not so easy to defend. So my pieces are all active. I have these open lines. The material... I'm even giving up another pawn here. The material is even, and yet I have an evaluation of +2. The material is even. I have a ruined pawn structure, but with the activity of my pieces, the chess engine rates this as good for white. So kind of interesting. Anyway, I didn't see all of that. I play my queen to b3, just holding on to the pawns and, looking at the b pawn here. And what does he play? He played c5, okay, just closing off the center. And now bishop h6. I play that in a move or two. I just castled here first. He goes bishop d7. And now I go bishop h6. Looks like right here, because he abandoned this pawn. The bishop used to be defending the pawn, so now I can just take here and his rook can't be defended. So queen takes b7 is one thing I missed in this game. But I spotted this bishop h6 idea, which is actually a pretty good idea too. Keeps him from castling, and the bishop can't easily be chased away. If the knight could go to f5 here, it would win the bishop. No, not win it. It would force it back. Let's see. He played knight a6, so now his rook is no longer going to get trapped here. And I went knight g5, just trying to pile up. I was imagining my queen over on this square, which it can't get there all that easily, and threatening on f7. But anyway, that was my kind of long-term plan. And notice that now my bishop is nearly trapped, so I have to be careful. And so knight f5, I have to make sure that's ruled out. He tries rook b8, defending the pawn. And I go f4. And now he goes knight g8. And this is a mistake. He's going after my bishop, but my bishop does have one square, and it's a good one because it wins the rook here. So let's see, he played h6. I was wondering here, if I just retreat the knight, then his rook can move, so I don't win much. Knight takes f7, though, is a move I was thinking about. That's knight takes f7, king takes f7, and then take here. But I thought after knight takes f7, maybe he could just move the rook. Let's take a look at that briefly. Knight takes f7. How about rook h7? Isn't he getting a piece here? Knight takes d6 check. I escape with check. And where's the king go? The king goes to e7, hitting the knight. I still have two pieces hanging. And bishop to e5 defends everything. Huh, well that's pretty clever. That is a nice way to unwind. Okay, I didn't see all of that. I did think about the move briefly, but yeah, I didn't calculate that. So I just grabbed the rook, which is still good. And you see I'm up like 4 points here. But it's a very complicated position, in part because of all these pawns that are going to get traded off and open up lines. And my king is a bit exposed here. So well, let's just see how it opens up. Black plays very sensibly. I mean, he's down material, but he's got to get some counterplay. And he starts off with b5. You know, he's going to take here and get an attack against my queen because the knight defends his rook. So I decided to take this way. Let's see. Yeah, that's as good a move as any. He played bishop takes. I guess it was here I had another very interesting opportunity that I missed. It's this diagonal. So I mean, my bishop was hanging, so I just took his bishop, and that was kind of what I planned here. And not only is it hanging, but after he takes here, he's threatening my queen, so it looks like a pretty scary threat that I have to deal with. But I have an even bigger threat if I just take this pawn, and now he tries to grab here. I take here with check. And that's a pretty unfortunate thing. King goes to d7. No, that leads to a mate. King goes to d7. e7 leads to mate. Even this will lead to mate. Anyway, yeah, I take here, I get a queen. He can take my queen. And rook to f7 check, and I'm just penetrating and winning over here. So anyway, that would be one way to bust this game open and have a winning position. A little tricky to find. Okay, so I grab his bishop, he takes back, and I just move the queen out of the way. And I still have this really, really tremendous winning advantage, right? This should be actually an easy win if you just look at the points here. But, well, it's not so simple. I line up. Oh, and my advantage has gone up even more. I'm lined up here on the F file, so it's logical play. And he plays F7 to try and break through. And now I played D takes E6. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways I could take. The best way is to take en passant with the G-pawn. And I chose a different way. I chose taking here. And not quite as good, but keeping an advantage still. Okay, knight to C5. And he takes F5. So I'm just busting up all these pawns around his king. His king is still in the middle, and my pieces seem to be swarming around it. So it should be an easy win here. But somehow he keeps finding counterplay. Knight D3 attacking my queen. I went with the queen to D4. H4. Queen H4 is an idea. Just I need to penetrate here with my queen and start making threats along the second rank here. The queen would be delivering checkmate threats from either of those squares. I went queen D4. Still keeping the edge. He played rook takes f5, and now I can just trade rooks. G takes f5, and then penetrate with the queen here. I played queen e3. What, rook b1. Rook b1 is a nice, interesting move, threatening to come in here. Okay, so queen e3. I was still trying to wander around with the queen, trying to get in on his king and deliver that mate. He goes queen c5. And that's annoying. That's a pin on my queen. So bishop d4, breaking the pin. I don't want to give up the attack before I've managed to finish him off here. So the queen went to c8, getting over here to defend. Good move. I go queen f3. Still trying to maneuver my queen around to a good square. He goes queen takes e6. Yeah, I let go of that pawn for no good reason. Let's back up. Instead of queen f3, g6 or rook b1. Yeah, getting more pieces into the attack. Both of those moves get, the pawns near the king are effectively an extra piece. And that also, g6 also opens up this square on g5 for my queen. Okay, so queen f3. I'm giving up one of my assets here by giving up this pawn in front of his king. And notice that he controls the square e8, which would otherwise be opportunity to deliver a tremendous attack on his queen and king there, skewering them. So I went queen a8 check. I thought this would be good, chasing his king around. He goes to f7. I grabbed the pawn here. He goes knight e7, blocking the checks. And then queen a8. So I was still thinking of getting to this square and using this bishop here to maybe deliver some mating threats over here against the king. He went knight f4. And I go queen h8, following through with my plan. And he goes queen e4. And right here is where I make my fatal mistake. So if you didn't spot this during the game, there's a mate in one threatened here. Queen takes. So what was interesting was that I wasn't oblivious to all the threats. So I had just done a kind of a superficial calculation. I was thinking, okay, the rook covers all the checks towards the king from this diagonal, and the bishop covers all the checks to the king from this diagonal. The bishop's protected. The knight check here doesn't lead to anything, and the knight check here doesn't lead to anything. I can just walk away from those checks. And the bishop is covering this square. So I figured I had everything covered. And I had done that calculation sometime earlier. And before he'd put his queen on this e4 square. And I neglected the idea that I could get checked along this file. But in fact, I can get checked. He just has to place his queen there and deliver mate. So my next move loses the game. I play queen f6 check. What do I need to play? The only move to stay in the game at all is to play g6 check. Okay, so because these threats are actually very difficult to meet. The queen can't come back to this square and defend. The knight's covering it. So I'm in big trouble here, and I didn't even realize it. I throw this check in, and I'm still just trying to figure out how to mate him. I'm thinking the game is just about over. But there's no way to save it after king e8. He's just winning, and I can't get back there. I can deliver a few more checks, but eventually I'm going to have to give up massive material to hold off. But I was still completely oblivious to this mate threat. I went queen takes d6, trying to get into the back rank, maybe deliver some more checks, and he mates me. So that's how the game ended. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this postmortem. It shows you always got to be alert. And also, you can't rely on this kind of schematic thinking or general thinking. I had concluded in general my king was safe because I was covering all of these various avenues. But you really have to look at each position specifically and the moves available in that position. You can't rely too much on this schematic thinking. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and see you again soon. Bye.